Yeah. Hello, Flutter developers, and welcome to our special live stream today where we are going to share so many useful Flutter tips and tricks with you all. And I'm Kamlesh, and I'm thrilled to be and I'm thrilled to be joined by the incredible Flutter expert, Pawan Kumar. Many of you are likely familiar with him through his YouTube channel, Codepur. However, my connection with him goes back to the days when the channel was known as MTech Viral. So, yeah, welcome to this live stream, Pawan.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, yeah, without further ado, let's go to the next slide and explore what we have there. So, basically, we are having a Q&A session where we will be covering so many invaluable tips that can elevate your Flutter game to the next level. But before we dive in, just make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and share this live stream with your fellow Flutter developers so that this useful knowledge can benefit maximum developers out there. So yeah, let's move to the next slide. Yeah, here we have this quick reminder, like we have this incredible WhatsApp community. You guys can join this community just by scanning the QR code. We are also sharing the link in the chat. You guys can also join from there. In this community we have different groups for different things, like you can ask your questions, your doubts, and the developers will help you out. And you can even find out like opportunities and other things and what's going on in the world of Flutter. You guys can know from this WhatsApp community. So yeah, we can move to the next slide. We also have created recently this WhatsApp channel, and here again, this is for more information, more updates about Hey Flutter, about the Flutter, and maybe in the future we are also going to release some content on our WhatsApp channel. So you guys can also join from this QR code, and the link we will be also sharing in the chat. So yeah, that's about the channel. Now we can move to the next slide. So yeah, there we go. Like the first question we have for Pavan is like, what is the Flutter 100? What is this book about, like Flutter 100? And you have, I guess, more to tell about this.
Yeah, sure. So Flutter 100 is something which I never thought that I would be doing it, honestly. Initially, that was never been the plan. But I was writing some series of articles for codeput.dev. And then I realized, there are so many things to share. And I never was a fan of books, to be very honest. Like, I don't generally read books unless it is very much needed. Especially technical books. Like, I have read some books which are really good, but again, there were a lot of people who were already writing Flutter books, so I was like, what different I can do when it comes to books, right? So I was writing some tips for Flutter developers, and then I realized that, okay, like, there are a lot of mistakes which people generally do. So maybe how about, let's start with 100 tips, and then I thought, let's also do 100 mistakes which people do. And then it came to my mind that, there are various things which can be discussed like this. So that's why I named it like Flutter 100. It's not a typical book. It's more like that whenever you need to find something, you can just go to this book as a reference, and you can find that particular thing. It can be very much similar to a cookbook, you can say, or just like reading an article. So here,
Mhm.
it was about, there are like 11 12 chapters where I have discussed about top dart tips, Flutter tips, mistakes which people generally do, like, and there are some bonus elements where I have also talked about the companies which are hiring for Flutter or using Flutter. um, and yeah, and very similar things are there, and interview questions, all of these things. So that's where I thought that, okay, this can go as an ebook. Not I never wanted to release it as a, like, hard, like, cover book or something like that, which is typical. But I felt that this way it would be different, and I'm glad that I have distributed this book to like hundreds of people so far, and I have seen
Mhm.
like that people have loved it so far. So yeah, that's what the book is about.
Yeah, I have also like read a lot of tips from this book. I mean, it's really incredible book. Whoever like wants to learn about a lot of things about Flutter, like tips, tricks, mistakes that I mean developers usually do, they can check out this book. However, we are going to discuss a lot of things in this live stream as
Yeah.
well. So yeah, let's move to the another question. And the next question we have is like, for whom was the book Flutter 100 created? Like, who is actually the target audience? Like the beginners, intermediates, or maybe the advanced people?
Yeah, when I was writing this book, the only thing was in my mind was that I never thought that this book should not be for someone, right? Like, I mean, for a specific audience. If this book is not meaning anything, then it will be very I would say that it will be very um unhappy thing for me because I would want everyone to read it at least once, because even if you are a senior developer or a beginner, there is always something to learn, and we have a lot of widgets in Flutter, for example, right? And I can tell you,
Mhm.
I'm working since I think it's been 6 years, 7 years, right? Doing Flutter 6 years probably, let's say. And there are still many widgets which I don't know, right? Or probably there are a lot of people who don't know about those widgets, right? So I had this intention that it should be for everyone. At least there should be a particular category of things which can be used by everyone. So if
Mhm.
you'll ask me who is who should read this book, I think everyone can try this out. Doesn't matter the level of expertise you have, because I
Mhm.
personally feel that there is something for everyone, right? So and that was the intention, to have something for everyone. And in fact, because I'm just coming on this live stream and talking about this book, I'm actually planning to also release another version of this book, which will be a really really improved version of this book, because I think there are a lot of things which are still missing from this book. And
Mhm.
it would be available for everyone who has already bought this book from any of the channels.
Yeah, yeah, that would be great. Like if you release another version of this book, and I guess audience will like it, because I
Yeah.
see like a lot of tips and tricks is already there. And if you like open any page from this book, you'll get a lot of information. You don't have to be like follow from the first page. You can just randomly open any page, and you'll
Yes,
find a
exactly.
really good information. Yeah. So now we can move to the next question, I guess. Yeah. So the next question we have, like from the book, even like, what are the top five? We are not going to talk about the 100 tips. Like just keep it short. Like only the top five Dart beginner tips I mean must know every Flutter developer.
Okay. I don't know if I should say that these are beginner tips, but I have some tips already with me. And I think it's for everyone, again, not just for beginners, but I would rather say that any tip is like a top tip unless you know about it, right? So when you start with something, if you don't know about it, it always feels that it is the hardest thing, right? Once you know about it, then it's
Mhm.
the easiest thing. So I think I don't categorize that these are top or these are not top. There are a couple of tips which I will share right now, which probably are not even part of Flutter 100. The reason is because the book is not updated, and there has been a lot of updates, and we know the ecosystem of Dart and Flutter. There are a lot of updates keeps happening, every month or so. So the first tip which comes to my mind, which I'm using a lot because I was missing this, is about sealed classes, right? A lot of people are still not using sealed classes, but I'm very much I would like to share my screen and probably show people that what are sealed classes. So if you'll go to dart.dev, can we yeah, so if we go to dart.dev, you can go to class modifiers from here. And here you can see that we have different keywords here, and out of one that is sealed, it came with dart 3. And if you go to this, obviously we can discuss a lot of things, but sealed classes are basically, these are very much popular in other languages also. Somewhere you might have seen union as well, like in Python, right? It's very much similar to that. Also, a good example can be, let's say you are making an API request, right? We can see some certain examples here, but obviously these are not very practical examples like bicycle and all. But let's talk about a practical example, which would be like you are hitting an API, and the result can be either a failure or a success, right? So what you can do is you can create a sealed class where you can have these two different types. One can be success and one can be failure, and you can return either of these, right? I think there were already some packages with these kind of features, but now it's a part of the ecosystem or the Dart language by default. So that's a blessing for Dart language. So I think this would be my tip, that start using sealed classes because they are really, really powerful and can solve a lot of problems for you. So yeah, ideally this should be
Mhm.
my first Dart tip. uh, sh- and should I continue, or you want to take some time and grasp this, or someone, if someone wants to write it, they can write it as well. Second tip we should discuss again comes from the same sort of features, and that is records. Okay, so if you see records, I mean, again, this is something which I am very much used to with Python. I have used it a lot. So it's very much similar to tuples. If someone has already seen tuples, so I mean, right now I was working on this Pawan app, which is my portfolio, right? And I'm heavily using records. Like without it, I might had to write a lot of other code which I never wanted to write. So this is how it works. Like you can have a map kind of thing, and then you can access them, or you can return two values together in terms of records, or this is like similar to tuples if someone has already used that. So if you see this example, we have a record of two types, like one is string and one is int. So basically you can pass two values. So one can be a string, one can be an integer, and then you can access it by record dot $1 $2, things like that. So this comes very handy. Like for example, I'll show you how you can access it like this. So if you see this, this is how you can access it, and this is very interesting. And you can name them as well. If you don't want to access by dollars, dollar sign, you can just say A, B, and all. So again, this would be my second tip, to start using records. I mean, this is beautiful. I am personally a very big fan of it. More things we can discuss is that I think let's open about future, right? Future is something which I think a lot of people still don't understand future in detail. I mean, if let's say you have to make concurrent calls, right, which is a very popular thing to do in programming, or which is very like obvious thing to do, then I would say certain things which you can use, like for example, you can use a wait method of future, which is, I think I have to search it here, but in this documentation probably you will find there is something called future.microtask, which you can use if you want your tasks to get the highest priority, because these micro tasks are like, prioritize higher than anything else. So that's also something which you can explore. I'm not able to find the exact thing here, but I think it should be there itself. So yeah, this is the future.wait which I was talking about. And future dot or schedule microtask is also something which you can use. So again, like a lot of people don't know about this, and that's why they end up messing up with their programs, and they do a lot of jugards and um, tricks and tips here and there. But
Mhm.
there are a lot of inbuilt things already in Dart which you can use. Another tip which I can share is about closures. I don't know how many people know about closures, but these are highly underrated features. Like these are basically anonymous functions, and you might be using it, but you don't know that you are using it. You can use them in a lot of ways, right? Like you can pass functions inside functions, and I mean, the kind of code you are writing, you can definitely improve them. I just looking for specific, like these are the anonymous functions which I'm talking about. So yeah, I mean, if you see these examples, like we already see this kind of things happening, like dot map, dot for each, we are already using these things, but we still don't know that how these things work. And I think this is where you should take a look into this documentation. I think it's inside functions for Dartling dev, and we have lexical closures, like this is how you can use it. And I mean, I use it a lot. So even in Swift, if you have any experience with Swift, if you'll see, Swift is so many, like there's so much closure happening everywhere that
Mhm.
you will love it like at certain point of time. And I think, yeah, this is definitely one of the things which people should follow. There are more tips, if I will talk about few more tips, like 2 3 more tips, then I think a lot of people don't still use Dart collection library. Okay, so this is something which, I think if you have done C sharp, like if you have used C sharp, there is something called methods, where you have to, like if you have to do some database query, it has already predefined methods which you can use. So similarly, this collection class offers a lot of things, where you can see that we have maps, we have let me just go there. We have spread operators, we have a lot of things, like we can use where clause, we can use a lot of other things like joins, grouping and all those things. Those are all the part of collection library. And I think people should definitely use it, if you are not using it. And there is another package by the name queries, which you can try it out, which is something which you should use. Another tip is that people don't generally use cascade operators a lot, but I
Mhm.
am a fan of it. I heavily use cascade operators, like just without like again, you don't have to define variables, you can just append double dots. And I mean, I use it a lot. I don't see, I mean, I keep taking interviews. And
Mhm.
in my recent interview, in fact, I asked someone that what is cascade operator, have you used it? He was like, no, 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 I've never used it. So then I realized that, okay, it's a very like common thing probably for some people, but still there are a lot of people who don't know about it, right? So cascade operator is there. There is something called sets in Dart. For example, sets is something which is again a part of collection library. So a lot of people are using lists. They don't know if they want to have unique items inside that list. Then they don't know that there is something called sets they can use. So basically, set is similar to list, but you can have unique items. The only thing is that this will be unordered. So that's something which we can definitely talk about. I think we have discussed 6 7 tips already. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there are many more tips in Flutter 100. So you can definitely take a look there as well.
Yeah, you guys can check out Flutter 100 book. I mean, there are like hundreds of tips already, but like as Pawan mentioned, like Dart.dev, like this documentation is the gold mine of knowledge for Flutter developers. So this should be like your
Definitely.
go-to thing. Like you should not be like looking at this once in a year. This should be your go-to thing, as well as the Flutter documentation. So
In
yeah,
fact,
that's
when you
great
go
that you
here,
shared a lot of. Mhm.
yeah, just want to add that even if you go here, right, if you open these things, you'll find a lot of things. Like a lot of people don't know about metadata, right? The wonderful things you can do with metadata. Type defs, again, a very underrated feature, right? Like type defs, people don't generally use. They create functions like hell. They don't know if they can use type defs. And I mean, you can write a much more cleaner code as well. And then there is new switch case kind of thing which you can do inside Flutter widget. That's again a very good like I mean, there are a lot of tips. We can just keep talking about it. It's like that the list will never complete.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, these are so many useful tips, guys. So I guess we can go back to the slides and see what other questions we have. In the meantime, guys, if you have any questions, whoever watching this live stream can drop your questions in the chat. We will definitely going to take your questions at the end. So yeah. So the next question we have is, I guess this is most important question. I guess all the questions are important, but this one, like the mistakes that all the Flutter developers usually make, we need to talk about those mistakes and try to, explain like what else we can do instead of the mistakes. Yeah. So the question is, what
Yeah,
are the top 5 mistakes that Flutter developers usually make? Yeah.
sure. I mean, this is a very very important question. Why? Because the Flutter 100 book was initially started with this particular idea itself, right? About writing the 100 mistakes which people do as a Flutter developer. I mean, there are a lot of things which I can cover. In fact, there's a lot of improvement in terms of mistakes which I have already mentioned in Flutter 100. But let's start with the basics one, which is something, they are basics, right? But still a lot of people don't know, and I think that's something which I would definitely want to talk about. The first mistake is that everyone who is starting Flutter, I'm telling for them, that is state management, right? it's uh, it's a very overrated thing initially. I mean, again, it's a my personal opinion, but I have seen a lot of people, because of state management and the questions around state management, they have stopped learning Flutter, because they just go into this direction that today they are learning this state management, tomorrow they are learning that state management, and it just keeps happening, right? My top 5 mistake, but I'm just mentioning this because it needs to be mentioned somewhere. But yeah, I mean, don't care about state management unless you understand everything else, right? I mean, initially when you are doing, you have you can just pick any state management and you can start working. And initially, I can even say that you don't need a state management unless you are making a very big project or something like that, right? But again, like, coming back to mistakes, again, this is a very debatable topic when we talk about state management. But I don't want to I don't want people to just stuck inside state management and randomly using getx or anything like that without understanding what is happening. So it's better if you don't get into that, and rather just learn the entire ecosystem first, and then state management can be managed later. But coming back to tips, I think the first tip which I want to share is that, because I have taken a lot of interviews, I have been training a lot of people as well. So the first tip would be that people don't generally dispose streams well, right? I mean, they create streams, but they don't dispose it, right? So I think if you'll go to again this documentation, then if we search about streams, then I think the first thing which you will see in any streams, that would be around about disposing it. And so yeah, if you don't dispose it well, then you can end up having memory leaks and all those things. So it's a very essential to remember that you have to dispose your streams. You have to kind of, maybe there you can also take a look into your architecture of your application, where how you are managing this disposing mechanism of these streams. Second thing is that I have seen people using like, I'm again talking about stream only, but let's talk in terms of widgets. Like, people use stream builder, right? And they have no idea that stream builder, what it does, like, apart from managing the inside they have another stream builder, and inside it they have another stream builder. And technically what they are doing is, their code might be running, their output might be coming well, but they are not understanding that there are a lot of redraws happening, and you don't even know how many streams are actually being used. Or there is, I mean, they don't understand that what exactly happening. And why it is important to understand this particular mechanism very well is because if you don't understand it, if you keep using it, you might be getting good output right now. If someone is using a particular like a particular device which has a very good ram, and like very good storage and everything, but once they will start using some low end devices, then probably because of these too many streams, you are not managing your resources well, you are not disposing them well, then it can have all those problems in those devices. And then a lot of people come and they say that Flutter is very bad because, you know, my app is dying because it's not working well, it's just consuming a lot of resources and all those things. Because first of all, you have to recognize that all those mistakes are made by you or the framework, right? So that's one thing. Second thing is, probably we can also talk about error handling, which is again something which people don't care about at all. I mean, I don't know, this can be for beginners obviously, but I think error handling is still a very unrelated, like I think underrated topic, where I have seen people generally how they like specify errors is basically they just use a try block with a catch block with an exception, right? They never care about specifying like they don't read about all these different type of exceptions which can be there. And those can could be handled very well, especially when we are talking about getting responses from apis and all. I mean, you can see in the documentation also you will find a lot of things. They don't know how to use this finally block, which can be very very useful, because it will be executed at any cost. And sometimes you have this requirement but you don't know that this thing exists, right? And again, I think they should definitely read about different kind of exceptions. They should know that how they can create their own exceptions. And I think this can be very very beneficial. So, and they should also know how to throw exceptions. Generally I don't prefer it for beginners because they can end up doing a lot of shit in their code. But I mean, it's a sometimes it's a very good idea. Like I was so lot very less people know that I also have a library called vx state, which is state management library. I don't promote it because I don't want to get into the state management debate, but I use it quite a lot. And there is a mechanism when you do a mutation, you throw an error, right? And when you throw an error, that actually gives you a very good management of that code, like how the status as success will be done. I mean, it's a lot of concept, but yeah, I mean, this is also a good thing to do sometimes, which people should explore. Third and most important, which I'll go back to Flutter Doc here, is life cycle. Okay, I mean, I have seen many developers. They know a lot of things, they understand a lot of things, but they don't know about app life cycle. I mean, that's one thing which I generally don't like, because when you are making an application, if you'll start your android developer journey, right, the first thing you will be taught would be how the life cycle of an android app works, right? But in Flutter ecosystem, that's not the case. Unfortunately, no one talks about it, and it's again a very underrated thing. But if you are actually serious about our application, if you really want to go inside deep of it, then I think you should learn about app lifecycle, and not just app lifecycle. You should also learn about the stream lifecycle. You should also learn about the future lifecycle and all, right? So app lifecycle is definitely, even today, I think they have done a lot of changes also recently with the app lifecycle, like the way we used to have it, and now we can easily, like, we can just have a variable, and we can get the job done, which is the new breaking change which we see here. Like this is what we used to do earlier. Now I think you don't have to write it this way, but I think they have a variable also. They have introduced you don't have to use the widget binding and all those things. Yeah, but the main point is that you should know how to use life cycle of your application. Like when you go to when you resume your application, what happens when you pause your application, what happens, and all those things are very very important. So this will be my another tip, that please don't repeat this mistake, that you ignore this topic, um, that you feel does not mean anything. It is very very important to understand the app lifecycle, and in fact not just for Flutter, but for your application, whether it is iOS application you are making, or where you are making the Android application. Okay, moving back to another mistake, people don't handle navigations well, right? I mean, the problem is that okay, again, I don't blame people honestly, because I think there are a lot of issues with the framework itself. I mean, okay, let's discuss about it. that navigation is such a topic which I think when especially you are dealing with web today, right? Not just Android and iOS, but web, navigation becomes very important. And behavior of user when they are using a particular system or a particular, let's say, if they are using a browser, their behavior is very important. They can go back by pressing the browser back button, like here I am pressing, or they can go back by keyboard. They can go back by pressing the back button on Android, which is not there on iOS. So you have to be very very cautious about that, how you are handling those navigation. Before I jump into that, you should not do that, you should not do this, I would highly recommend that you should use things like Go Router or any other library which is available today, Auto Router, Go Router, anything like that, which actually deals with it very well. And you can also handle nested navigation pretty well. So in fact, I was also pushing this in one of my libraries, Velocity X, but then I was not able to do a lot of things with that. So once there was a official uh, plugin out there, like Go Router we talked about, so that again become very important. So handling navigation generally, and it's not about just dealing with browsers and all, but also people just care about only one single instance where they just push, and they just pop. So apart from that, they don't see about other perspective, like if someone wants to go to a particular URL. And then when I'm talking about navigation, I would also like to talk about a little bit about deep linking, because if you are going for an interview, if you are working on a product, deep linking can also become a very part of like very of your requirements, right, for a particular product or an app. So for deep linking also, you should understand navigations very well. So again, handling navigation is another very big factor. Okay, I think I am talking too much, but yeah. um, Another thing which I want to talk about, I have a lot of things. In fact, people don't care about caching. I think caching is something which can definitely enhance your user experience in your application. It can be in terms of image caching. It can be in terms of data caching. And if you are using, let's say, NoSQL kind of database, let's say you are using Hive, it has built-in caching mechanism which you can use. You can use cached network image in case if you are using images. So that's one of the another things which you can definitely try. I mean, you should definitely use caching. Apart from that, we can also talk about accessibility. A lot of people don't care about accessibility, but today it's actually becoming very important. I was also taking this session recently in couple of cities in India, where I talked about accessibilities and how you can use LLMs to actually make your apps more accessible in a very short time. That's another topic. I mean, all these tips or mistakes I'm talking about, they can be a very different topic in itself. But yeah, accessibility, security, and translations, all of these things people don't care about generally, but they should definitely take like I have seen a lot of because they feel that it's all secure. It's not. I mean, honestly saying, it's not secure. Again, it's something which you should care about, because ideally, I mean, honestly saying, if you are on any Android device or maybe in an APK, it can be, there are ways. I mean, it could be harder, but someone can definitely get your API key out of it, but at least make it harder for people if you're using it on client side. But my advice would be that you don't use it on, you should always use those things on your server or on your backend, rather than using on the client. So again, we can talk about security. In There are a lot of other aspects as well. There are a lot of issues with people like submitting their app to stores. Again, I have discussed some of the things in the book itself, so please take a look. And I think could be a big debate. But I hope you liked it.
Yeah. Yeah, guys, so whoever is watching this live stream, I guess they will not make these mistakes again, because Pawan has like explained every mistake really well. If you want to see like all other mistakes, you can definitely check out the book. Now I guess we can also check out some questions. There are a lot of questions that are coming from the audience, like in which company you work. So I guess they are asking you, Pawan, like if you are working with some company. uh,
I was actually working with a company, but I recently left it. I'm doing a little bit consultancy. I'm working on a product which I'm building, which is again something which will maybe soon. I'm still like planning a lot of things and doing a lot of things. So that's what I'm doing right now, and as well.
Yeah. So the next question we have here is like, what is the best way to go from intermediate developer to advanced developer? So don't worry, Kashif, we have one question about this. Maybe later on, Pawan can tell more about this, like how can maybe progress in your career. But the another question about state management, we are not going to take this. Like, this is again so much subjective. Uh, yeah.
Yes, that,
So yeah, and the video is sometimes stuck.
uh,
Okay, yeah, we'll see. I don't know if it is good now. So yeah, there is another question, like how much data structure plays a crucial role for Flutter developer. I guess that's again the important, or the, I guess the good question. I don't know if the issue is with my connection or with both of us. Yeah, I guess the issue is with Pawan's connection. But yeah, guys, you guys can still drop your questions. Pawan will join soon. Um, and yeah, if I see your questions, yeah, a quick reminder is that you guys can like join our community. A lot of people are already watching this. So guys can join our WhatsApp community. We are showing. We have this QR code. You can scan this, and the link is already in the chat. You can check that out. And yeah, Pawan is already back. There was some connection
yeah.
issue, I guess, right? Yeah. So now we go back to the questions. We discussed about the
Okay.
mistakes, and now let's see the next question.
Okay. We'll take the
Yeah.
people's question maybe later.
Yeah, for sure. Then we will take the questions later at the end. So the next question we have is, what are the top 10 Flutter widgets that every Flutter developer should be familiar with? Yeah, again, the great question, because there are a lot of
Okay.
widgets. So yeah, over to you, Pawan.
Uh, Start with the first one, okay? And I am sure that you're not expecting it, but it is text widget.
Yeah, the video is still buffering, I guess.
Let me just try and share my screen if I can do that, because I really want to touch on this thing. So when I talk about text widget, I just don't talk about normal text widget, but I also talk about rich text, right? Which people don't use, and people don't know how to use, right? There is another widget called selectable text, right? Especially when you are dealing with browsers today, you should use selectable text, right? Because I mean, there will be some scenarios where people would want to like, select certain part of the text inside your application, and that's where I think this thing comes. and then I'll take you to this text widget from here itself, and you will see that um, there are a lot of things which you have not even explored inside text widget. So see, so there are if we see on the right side all these properties, a lot of people have not explored overflow, a lot of people don't know about strut styling, a lot of people don't know about text height behavior, or even text span, right? So I mean, there are a lot of things in text widget itself which people should definitely take a look. And yeah, this is the most used widget. Like if you'll see what is the most used widget in Flutter, if we can get this data from somewhere, then I think text widget would be the first one. And I highly recommend people to use auto size text. So it's a package, or if you are using, let's say, my package velocity x, if some people are using it, then by default it uses auto size text. Especially what happens is that when you are dealing with different like device screens, when you want your app to be very responsive, I think in that scenario, auto size text works really well. So for those people who are definitely not familiar with any of these terms, auto size text, selectable text, rich text, you should explore, and you should also try all these properties just once at least, to know that um, what they actually do, right? A lot of people, if I ask some people certain questions about, let's say, text overflow and all these things, people don't know, right? Or even text scale factor, which is now deprecated, now we have text scaler. Again, these can be very very useful, especially when you are dealing with accessibility first, second when you are dealing with responsive nature of your application, and third would be, let's say, have you ever thought about that if you go to settings, if you change, if someone, like, there are some older people, they change their font sizes, right? Then how your app looks like, right? So all these things also you should consider, which people don't do. So text widget is first on my list. Second is, again, very common, but my favorite, which is the container widget. Again, one of the most used widget in Flutter, but container widget is much more than what you think, right? Container widget is another, like, second most powerful widget in my opinion. In fact, first, text, let's not count text because it's a very different thing. But when we talk about widget transformation, widget boxing of those widgets, right? So I think container has a lot of things, like especially if you like, a lot of people don't know about these constraints, like how they work, right? I think there are really good articles out there in Medium, or maybe you can check the Flutter community Medium blogs, where there are a lot of people, they publish articles. There was a very good article, I don't have the link currently in hand, but you can check that. You'll find it if you'll search on Google, and it has a very good that has covered constraints very well, right? So people should definitely take a look into that. Then decoration, again, very powerful. It's another topic in itself. You can pretty much use this decoration class itself. It has so many things which you can use. You can use gradient, you can use transformation with container. So container has a lot of things which people generally don't know. A lot of people use container in place of sized box, right? That's something also which I highly not recommend. Okay. I'm always like, don't use container unless it is required. You should always use sized box when you have to just give some spacing, right? So don't use container for those kind of scenario anyway. So container. Third, very important, and my another favorite widget is stack. I mean, I'll be honest, if you see lot of animations, if you see lot of different kind of, like, good things happening in an UI, you will always find stack widget somewhere, because I mean, it's very powerful, especially when it comes to animations and all. I mean, I personally love stack widget. And then I would highly recommend that you also read about render stack, like how this works and everything is being written. This is another thing which I highly recommend. And then as I told you, I think Marcin has covered a lot of, like, Marcin is a member in the community, Flutter community. He has covered a lot about these stack widgets and how these can be very powerful. And I'm yes, of course, like, I mean, there are a lot of things you can explore with the stack widget. So again, one of my top Flutter widget is stack widget, right? um and again, I can talk a lot about it, but let's jump to another one because we are running a little bit out of time. So let's make sure I'm talking about it, and that is animated builder. Again, very underrated widget. Not a lot of people are using it, but I mean, again, it's very much specific for people who really want to, who really love animations, and they are always doing this. Like, they are making stateful widgets, then they are having this single provider state mix in, ticker provider state mix in, um, and then they just, what they do is, like, they have these animations like twin animations. I mean, these lot of things you can do just with animated builder, honestly. I mean, unless it's actually too much of thing which you want to customize, and it's very performant, as you can see. And I mean, I don't know how many people actually read the documentations, but I highly recommend people to take a look at our documentation, because here you can find a lot of tips. So see this example where we are doing a rotation, and even though we have animation controller, it's being done easily with this animated builder. Like, obviously we are using it just for the animation, controlling the animation, but you can just pass this controller to animated builder and it will do the job for you. You don't have to explicitly do these things by yourself. And yeah, it's fun. And then again, when you are taking a look at animated builder, then take a look at listenable builder as well. That's also part of that. And if you want to do specifically twin animation, then there is something called twin animation builder, which again, a lot of people don't use. And I'm very glad that these are all part of Flutter widget of the week. Which means that it was somewhere discussed on Flutter YouTube channel. And obviously not everyone watches every video, so I mean, documentation is the best way to go. And there are similar widgets like animated crossfade, animated switcher, and all those things. I highly recommend, if you are into animation, um, you should use it, right? Another favorite widget, I would say, is fitted box. And yes, someone mentioned in the comments that you should use colored box for color. I really agree with that. Fitted box is something which helps a lot when you are writing responsive apps. So fitted box, as it says, right, scales and positions child within itself according to fit. I use it a lot. And I mean, there is not much I can talk about unless you use it. So if you start using it, you will find the benefits it offers. And sometimes you don't have enough space, but you still want to show the widget, and that widget takes a lot of space. You just want that widget to shrink somehow for filling that particular space. So fitted box is for you, and especially when you are dealing with responsive apps, so that can come into picture. Another one is another from the box category. There are a lot of widgets in the box category, that is overflow box. Again, not discussed much, but overflow box can be very handy, especially if you are done with seeing that your widget is overflowed or things like that in your console or in your errors. So overflow box is something which you should definitely explore. Many of the times you don't have an option to not let things overflow, then you should use overflow box. And then there are many overlay. If you consider this as a widget, then it's a class basically which you can use for overlaying stuff. Like, it has overlay entry, overlay state. I don't think these people generally they use it, but I personally use it for badges and all those things. And yes, someone mentioned fractionally sized box. Again, these are all covered in my Flutter 100 books, all these widgets, fractionally sized box, and all those things. There is I mean, see, there are a lot of widgets, right? I cannot discuss about everything, but there are many. Like, there is the layout builder in itself, or builder widget itself, very good widget, but lot of people don't know it. There is another widget called Flow, and there is another favorite widget of mine. So Flow you can check, but there is another favorite widget of mine, which is Wrap. So a lot of people, they use row and column, and they just they get this overflow issue because they that is not able to stretch to the next line, and they don't understand how they should go to the next line, right? So in that case, the direct option was using a Wrap widget, which they don't know about, right? So Wrap widget wraps it automatically. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to use a row and a column. So again, a very good use case. I use it for a lot of my responsive apps. So yeah, I think we have covered a lot of widgets already. I don't know if it is 10 already, but yeah, I think this is another good widget, which you should try. And what else, man? We can talk about a lot of widgets. We have see the list
Yeah,
here. It's like a huge list. I can highly recommend going through this once at like uh, even I want to talk about this value notifier and all these widgets, but again, I think it will take too much time to get into that. But yeah, check out Flutter
yeah.
100 for these.
Yeah, sure. You guys can check out Flutter 100, and then you will see like all the widgets are already discussed in that book. So let's get back to the slides. So the next question we have is again like interesting question, like how do Flutter developers prepare for job interviews? Because a lot of people like start Flutter just by looking at, okay, we will get job after learning Flutter
Mhm.
after 2 months, 3 months. So yeah, how should they prepare for the job interviews?
I think the first thing which they should do is they should go through my Flutter top 100 interview questions in Flutter 100. That's the first thing they can do. But yeah, apart from that, I think the first thing which you have to do is start building, right? There are a lot of people, they just keep learning all the time, right? They just watch YouTube videos and they just keep learning. They are learning questions, they are learning things which are not actually meant to be just learned. They needs to be implemented somewhere, right? Because this kind of learning is not useful for you. I mean, if you are watching just my videos all the time, if you're just reading my questions all the time, and if you're just trying to do a rectification, it's not going to help you. So implementation is very important. So the first advice I give to people is just start implementing. Second, very important advice is that don't ignore the basics. A lot of people think that they understand the basics. You don't, right? One example I already gave in my stream, which was life cycle, right? It's a very basic part of your any application, but people don't care about it, right? And I honestly, when I take interviews, and I have taken many interviews, trust me on that, and the first question I always ask is, tell me about the life cycle of an application, right? So uh, these are the basic things, right? I am not expecting you to know everything. I'm not expecting you to know how maps work, because it is very much possible that you might have never worked on maps, right? Because as a developer, if a particular framework of if a particular technology is not developed by one person, how we can learn everything as a single person, right? As an individual. So that's very much true that we cannot learn everything, but what we can learn is how the basic of things work, right? How these things work, which we have ignored a lot initially. Like as I mentioned, life cycle always comes to my mind. Even there are a lot of other things like um, one of the things which is like how we can use um, like shared preference, right? These are some of the things which are part of every application, and people don't know, like on and on. You should also know that what people call it in different operating systems. For example, when shared preference name is taken from the Android ecosystem, right? But on iOS we call it user defaults, right? And on web, if you'll go, you will see something called local storage, right? So all these things you should be familiar with, that when you are dealing with multiple so I think the first idea is, or this is a part of that second tip, is that basics is very important. Don't ignore it, and try to learn it very well. That if I'm asking you what is build context, so you have made many application but you don't know what is build context, so there's no point, right? I mean, this is something which I'm expecting you to know. At least a little bit about what do you understand by build context, right? Why you will use it and when you will use it, right? So yeah, these are a couple of things. Another thing is that don't, I mean, see, in all these slides we have observed one single word, right, which is Flutter developers, right? I am someone who is very much into that we should drop this word as soon as possible, which is Flutter developer, right? We, if you are really serious about your future, if you are really serious about the ecosystem where you are living in, then not just, you don't have to be just be a Flutter developer, but either you will become a mobile app developer, right, or you will become a full stack developer, right? And full stack mobile developer, let's say, where you will know about a lot of things, not just Flutter, but you should also know about which operating systems you are targeting. For example, let's not talk about web, let's not talk about desktop, right? Let's only talk about Android and iOS for now. But do you understand Android ecosystem, how it works? Do you understand how iOS ecosystem works? So when I'm hiring you for a senior position, let's say in my company, I'm expecting you to know at least a little bit about Android ecosystem. I expect you to write a little bit of Kotlin code, and I expect you to write little bit of Swift code. You might not be knowing by default, but you should be able to learn it, right? And you should know that how things are working at least. So I think these are again some areas where I want people to focus. They should become a complete developer rather than just thinking about we are just Flutter developer. Like, even if you are Flutter developer, you are still using camera plugin, right? But how many of you know that how the camera plugin works or Bluetooth plugin works? Have you ever seen that how's the code is written for that? So again, these are, I think, one of the things which I definitely want to mention. And yeah, I mean, what else? There are more, again, we can discuss, but these are something which, if you will keep remembering those things, I think it will be easier for you.
Yeah. So, guys, you should like start building applications if you are preparing for the job interviews, and then know the basics, and also see yourself as the holistic developer, not just Flutter developer. And yeah, these are really great tips. Now, I guess we can move to the another question. I guess, yeah, the next question we have is: are you currently contributing to any Flutter community projects?
Currently I'm not doing it because I'm not having that much time, because as I mentioned already, I'm working on certain projects myself, like I'm building certain things, and I at the same time also building certain tools for people. Like, for example, if you'll go to my website pawan.app, you will find a lot of tools which are there, and I'm already building those. So that's the thing. But yeah, I keep updating my packages, which are like Velocity X, VX State, or even I am planning couple of more packages. I'm already using some packages which I have never open sourced, but I think that those kind of things I can do. But yeah, I mean, I would love to contribute if someday I'll find that I have time to do that.
Yeah, we'll wish like you will get time to contribute to the
I
community.
wish
That will
that
be
as well.
great. Yeah. So yeah, now I guess we can move to the last question. Yeah, the last question we have is: how can Flutter developers plan and progress in their careers? This is the similar question. Like one person asked, like how he can move
Yeah.
from intermediate to the advanced level. So yeah, this is also again the best question.
I think this is very much similar to the last question I answered, right? How to prepare for interviews. I think these are very much similar in that context, that how you should plan your career, right? But again, planning, when you are talking about planning and progress, I already told you, right, that you have to plan it as not just as a Flutter developer, but either as a mobile developer or a web developer or things like that, right? Because you cannot just stick to one technology and you will feel that for your entire life you are set, right? It's not gonna work. Tech does not work that way, you have to keep changing things. You have to understand the basic of things. Like, for example, when we talk about Flutter, we talk about declarative UI, right? And now it's part of the entire ecosystem. So once you understand Flutter's way of writing UIs, you also understand how we write UIs in React Native, how we write UIs in Jetpack Compose, how we write UIs in Swift UI, right? So that means you understand the ecosystem now, that this is the future and this is already being like that, this is already being used by all different giants now, right? Because and thanks to Flutter, that it actually created that environment, that people understood the importance of it. So now I don't think it should be difficult for you to write in Swift UI or write in Jetpack Compose, right? So because tomorrow something else will come, and that can also say that okay, you don't need to become a Flutter developer, you don't need to become a React Native developer or anything, and you will have to focus on that. But your understanding of declarative UI pattern will never change, right? You know it, so that's a plus point for you. So you have to plan your career in such a way that if tomorrow something new comes, you are always ready for it, right? If tomorrow LLM and AI is coming into the picture, a lot of people ask me that, oh, will I like lost my job or anything like that? Yes, you will, if you will not progress with time, right? You have to use those tools very brilliantly, so that people understand that this person is capable to use these tools to minimize the time, to certain extent, right? It's not about replacing you entirely, but maybe you can cut down the time, or for that to cut down the time also, you have to understand the concepts very well. Otherwise, if chat gpt is producing something, you don't understand the concept, then you cannot fix it anyway, right? Because it can produce a lot of code for you. That is also already there on Stack Overflow also, but unless you understand it, it's of like just copying and pasting always, it's not gonna work. It can work for certain extent, but for productivity or for creativity, it does not work. So that's one another thing. And as I said that career is not just dependent on Flutter development, right? You have to become a good developer in general as well. Like you should also learn about like designing principles. You should also learn about architecture of your application. You should also learn about solid principle, let's say. And yeah, I mean, there are a lot of things to learn. You should also learn about databases. You should also learn about how the today I don't say that you should not even know about any backend related stuff, because you should know. Today we are living into that era, because maybe I'm not saying you to become an expert of it, but at least you should understand, right? Like if I'm talking about APIs, you are consuming the APIs in your application, but you don't know what are the status codes, right? So I am not expecting that from anyone, right? I'm expecting that they should at least know the basics of things. So these are some of the things which I feel that you should like plan your career in this way, then maybe it can be very beneficial for you. Again, I
Yeah,
can talk
right. I would say
for
like,
hours.
yeah, and I would say like just become not become Flutter developers, become software developer. Like software is
Yeah,
like a more abstract thing. It will not only target Flutter, it just makes you a complete developer. So you should be a software developer instead of Flutter developer. So
yeah, and
yeah, I
I have
guess
another
we
term
have.
for the future, which
Mhm.
someone mentioned me. Like there was a very senior person, I met him recently, and he mentioned that tomorrow's world is all about deep stack developers. Now, what is deep stack? I will discuss some other day, maybe on my channel. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a very interesting take on it, and I really agree with whatever he said. We'll discuss it maybe in the future, or maybe on this channel or another channel.
Yeah, yeah, would be really happy. So yeah, that's about the last question. I guess we can move to the next slide, what we have there. So yeah, the Q&A session. But like before Q&A session, if you have anything, like if you want to introduce something to the audience, maybe you want to talk about something coming up new, or I mean anything new, or maybe you are working with LLMs, like something like that, you can talk about
Yeah,
those things.
I mean, I really feel that like LLMs are very powerful. They are the future, and my gut feeling has always been good. That's what I feel. I'm not saying this out of anything, but initially I bet on Kotlin. It worked. and then I bet on like initially I bet on actually Django initially, like very many years ago. It worked, then got very well in the market. Then Flutter, when I started, I don't even remember how many people were there. So Flutter also, I fortunately it worked well. And I think the next thing is definitely LLMs, because the power it has, right? And it's for everyone. I mean, it's not just for any specific developer or any another category of people. So I am doing a lot of things on LLMs recently. I'm also building a product, as I mentioned, and I am building couple of lot many tools, in fact, which you can also find. Like, please go and check out Pawan.app whenever you have a time, and keep checking it, because every day I'm updating it. So if you'll see this, there is new AI caption. If you see on the top, that's a new tool which you can use to generate captions for your Instagram post just by uploading your pictures, right? And it will generate caption for you. There is another tool which I am working, which I showed one of the demo of it, and I'm still training that particular model, where you can generate Flutter code by showing some UI, or by just drawing something. And I wanted to get to that point where you can actually produce a really good quality of code, right? And there are already some tools, but either they are dependent on Figma, or they are dependent on third party libraries, which I don't want to do. I just want to give you that you know a scaffold kind of thing, where you have the structure already, you have all the components there, you just have to change certain things and your design is ready. So that's one other tool which is probably ready for early beta access at least. But I think it's still, I would want to do couple of more things onto that. There is another application which I'll be releasing, or tool on Pawan.app, which is AI Pharma. So basically, I think a lot of people don't have understanding of medicines, right? So you can just write a medicine name there, and it will give you all the details about it, that what are the pros of it, what are the cons of it, what is the composition. Because I have worked on in a medical field for 4 years in my school days. So that was the part-time job I used to do, so I had a lot of interest. So it will tell you about the generic options available for that medicine and what that medicine does. And it is also available in English and in Hindi right now. So that is something which I'm about to push. That's already being built. It will again come as a tool inside Pawan.app. And then you see there are a lot of other tools like QR code, password generator, JSON validator, and all of these things. Right now, all of these things are free, without any ads, without anything. So that is something which I already have. What else? I am doing a lot of work on my YouTube channel again. So that is something which I will continue. And I mean, there are a lot of things, in fact, I'm doing. Sometimes I just feel that
Mhm.
it's too overwhelming. But but yeah, I mean, it's fun. It's something which I would highly recommend people to also take a look into.
Yeah. So, guys, you can stay tuned to the Pawan.app or the Code Push channel. You'll see more updates about the new tools from Pawan there. So, yeah, now let's go to the questions like what we have there from the community. Let's see. So,
I think there are
yeah.
too many questions.
Yeah, there are too many questions like people are writing. Someone is writing that.
I think we can at least take
Yeah.
couple of questions. Not much, because I
Yes.
have
Yes.
to go, unfortunately. But yeah,
Yeah.
let's take couple of questions.
Yeah, some of the questions we have already like responded, so there are not so many other. But yeah, there is like one question: how to design the responsive screens. So we have already one live stream about it. We have a lot of videos about it, so you guys can check that out. You will learn a lot of things in a very short time. And what else we have? Um, all right. So, how much data structure plays a crucial role for Flutter developer? I guess this is an interesting question.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course, we
So,
can definitely
yeah.
take it. I think, see, the
Mhm.
point is that a lot of people are into this delusion that data structure does not have any relevance in Flutter, okay? Which is totally wrong, okay? In fact, if you see the Flutter widget tree, that's itself a data structure. I mean, if you have worked on trees, then you understand how the widget tree came into the picture, right? Why it is called widget tree, in fact. So I think data structure is a very good thing to learn. Everyone should learn it. I mean, it's not a compulsion to become a Flutter developer, but if you learn it, you become a good problem solver, basically, right? So in that way, I think everyone should at least give it a try. That and initially it can be very overwhelming, but once you start doing it, then you will find it that it is too much fun, and it is too good to learn about certain things which you never thought about, right? Like when you are talking about the best algorithm, like best cases, worst cases, and and all those things, right? Like problem solving is the best part of it, that where data structure improves you. Like learning data structure algorithms improves you as a developer, and you become a better problem solver, and you will keep, and you will start going to other challenges also. You will also start investing a little bit time in competitive coding and all those things. So even you think that it's not very crucial, but it's very crucial. For example, there are a lot of mathematics mechanism which we use in animations, right? And if you know data structure very well, probably somewhere you will use some of those things. Like mathematics also, we used to think like, mathematics is not important, why when we are using these things in real life. But actually we are using,
Yeah.
right? Like animations, there is trigonometry, there is everything we are using, there is metrics we are using for transformations, right? So what we are not using as a software developer, tell me that. We are using trees, we are using graphs, we are using this mathematics, we are using arrays, we are using linked list, everything we are using. So yeah, I mean, I recommend that you should learn it. There's no harm in that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, at least for like development, you need to have this problem solving mindset. So if you don't have that from data structure, you will get that. So definitely you should try that. The
Yep,
another
yep,
question from
100%.
C Pao Young we have is saving data in provider consider caching or any other state management?
I don't generally use provider, but by what you are saying, I don't think it's caching. Saving data in provider is not caching.
Yeah.
But I mean, see, the point is that there are sometimes, like, caching is not should the caching is not just meant that you have to save your data, right? You have to save it wisely, right? That's also very important. Like, it's not like, otherwise what is the difference between caching and just storing your data in databases, right? So caching, you have to be very save the data wisely, in terms of like when to refresh those data is very crucial, right? Because caching does not mean that it will be forever, right? It can be to there's some validity which we have to decide for different kind of mechanism, right? So all those things, what offers it in the best way possible. Like, for example, I gave you an example of Hive. So it will give you certain you know customization, that till when you want to save the data or anything like that. So all of these things, if you'll consider, then probably you get the answer. I think I'll also create a couple of videos on caching. I think it's a very important topic to discuss.
Yeah, yeah, right. That would be great. Like people will understand like what is actually caching, not the state management.
Yeah.
So other questions. Let's see what we have. What about Flutter backend? So yeah, I guess tech first. You should ask question better because the context here is not, I mean, understandable. But let's see
Yeah,
what
I
we
mean, they could
have.
have said Dart backend. That could be a better question, but but anyway, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
fine.
Right, right. So maybe they are talking about the server pod, Dartfrog, these packages. So yeah, there is a lot of development going on, especially with server pod. So maybe in the future, you can have really good
Yeah,
server
there are
with
Dart frog,
these
server
things.
pod, and many other options. But if you're
Yeah.
really serious about learning backend, then I highly recommend moving to another language right now, because uh, I think that will be beneficial for you for your career.
Right, right. So yeah, let's see what else we have. Hmm. Yeah, someone has asked, like, I'm a final year student and doing Flutter from past 1.5 years, but not getting jobs in market. All they require is experience. So should I continue it or move to the native dev?
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm getting a
that's
call
a
by
good
the way,
question.
so this is the probably the last question I'll probably able to answer. But yeah, see, what are the chances that if you will move to native, then you will get a job? I mean, it's like asking something which you never thought about, that why you are not getting a job. So it's not because that you are doing Flutter or native, it's because of the experience, right? Because everyone wants experience, and I understand that fact, right? But what you are not doing is that you are not proving yourself that you are capable enough, right? For even for that particular experience, you are capable enough even if you don't have that experience. So how you will show that you are capable? First of all, you will have to keep applying. There are a lot of rejection. Even today, if I apply, I get rejected. Okay, it's not like I don't get rejected. There are a lot of companies still they can reject me anytime, especially for Flutter role. In fact, I will tell you that I was last year I was applying randomly for to a company, and they rejected me without even asking anything. So it's very much possible that anyone can reject you at any point of time. And if you will apply for 100 jobs, then maybe only 10 jobs, 10 companies will actually take an interest in you. 90 will probably just ignore you. That can happen. So that's not the important part. The important part is that how well you are already prepared for that. So you should try to showcase your work by you can contribute to open source projects or like big projects. Obviously, you can create applications, or you can create projects out of it, which can which can be highlighted somewhere, that okay, I have done this kind of things. I am already very much experienced to these things. So you have to prove yourself, basically. That's what I mean, to show that even I don't have experience, but I am capable enough. So because this problem will also come to when you are when you are moving to native or anything else, right? So this problem is a standard industry problem, right? It's not just related to Flutter, it's a common problem. So I think in today's era, it's very important to learn about things, showcase your work, build in public, talk about your projects with people, network with other people and companies, right? Go to events also sometimes, just to find that what kind of companies are working on what. And these one-to-one connections are very useful, trust me on that. The networking part is very very important. 90% of the people who are part of good networks, they don't have to even find a jobs by themselves, like by like browsing through different company website. They get these jobs by referrals. They get these jobs by reaching out to people, and just finding out those opportunities. And in fact, you should also become capable enough that people reach out to you for a job, right? So that then you will have the power of negotiation and everything. So yeah, I mean, I would still say that work on your skills, and try to become even better. And yeah, I
Yeah,
think
exactly.
that's
Yeah, so we already came to the end of the live stream, already answered the questions. We have discussed really great tips and tricks. Again, like I would tell you guys, please check out the Flutter 100 book. You will learn a lot of things from there. And yeah, also, like, you can also check out the socials of Pawan and his YouTube channel and maybe other platforms. You can also definitely check out his Pawan.app, his portfolio. You will be like checking, you'll be like getting a lot of new tools out there. So yeah, that's about it, I guess. Thank you so much, Pawan, for joining us, and all the audience. We will see you again in the next time. Yeah, bye.
thank you so much for having me, and thanks for being here. uh, to all the audience, like who have been patiently listening to us, because we have been just keep talking all the time. But yeah, we'll definitely plan more streams like this. And thanks again to the entire Hey Flutter team for giving me this precious time to discuss about these tips, to share my views on my book as well as on the technology itself. So thank you again.
Yeah, thanks a lot.